Great talent and great people that have, deliver results in their lives know how to work with others. They know how to work on teams. There isn't a single entrepreneur I've met that's been successful that can't list a whole bunch of disasters they were involved in. This is why I always listen to people that know more about something than I do.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Motivation Nation.
Believe Nation.
Oh, Believe Nation. Okay. All right, here we go.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Kevin O'Leary, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Be a team player.
Great talent and great people that have, deliver results in their lives know how to work with others. They know how to work on teams. Even if they're running the company, people respect them, and that's very hard to do. If you don't have the ability to work with people, you have a very hard time in life. And the way I manifest that in my business is I've got a lot of investments in a lot of companies, and I've been an operator and I'm an investor now, and I guess a mentor in some ways. And I say, look, if you're going to make a big hire, put them on a program for 6 months. That gives them a chance to prove themselves with all the people around them. In other words, say, look, we're going to try this for 6 months. If it doesn't work out, both of us go our separate ways and everything's good. And that way you're not setting yourself up for failure on either side. And I've learned that to be a very, very good way of integrating people into businesses and determining whether they're going to work or they don't. And it's not a bad thing if it doesn't work out. It's much worse to bring them in making the assumption all will be great in 6 months, and then all of a sudden you've got to terminate a relationship. That's worse than falling in love if you think about it. You hurt everybody in the business. And that's worked for me, and that's what I tell people. Hire slowly, fire quickly.
Rule number 2, listen to qualified people.
My son's an electrical engineer. In his 3rd year, decides to take an internship at Tesla. We're sitting at the kitchen table. He gets invited, he accepts. He's really interested because he was on the car team at his college. And a lot of people don't know this. Every cohort, engineering, electrical engineers, race F1 Formula cars they build from scratch against each other. MIT generally would beat everybody. But in this particular Nebraska race, Trevor, who was the captain of the team, beat MIT. Now, of course, at all these races, the Tesla guys and the BMW guys and the Audi guys and the Ford guys are running around meeting these teams. So his team did very well. He's on sort of on the battery management side. He got an internship. But here's the story. We're sitting at the kitchen table. I'm looking over at my screen because I manage, I'm in the financial services industry with ETFs. And I'm looking over and Tesla's down 13% because they missed a quarter or an analyst said to short the stock or whatever. I said to Trevor, this company looks like a dog. I mean, this thing is down so much. He said, Dad, nobody understands this company. This is not a car company. It's a data company. It has the highest resolution of miles driven on Earth. Every time a Tesla drives, it reports back to HQ and makes the resolution of that road even clearer for future autonomous driving. And I said, what does that mean, Trevor? Should I not think of this as a car company? He said, no, think about it as a data company with extremely high resolution data, and you should own some. So I bought some stock. Do you know this is the highest return on any stock I own? Because that was the low that day, just by happen chance, and I'm up like, 90%. And the car company barely makes any money. This is why I always listen to people that know more about something than I do. And Trevor clearly understood that he had a different vision for what Tesla was. He loved working there. But to me, that is the future. And boy, am I glad I own that stock. And to Elon, who I saw recently out in LA, I thanked him. I said, listen, Elon, all I know about you is you've made me money.
Rule number 3, drive on.
So what do you do when something terrible happens in your life? And it will happen. In life, poo-poo happens. It just does. It happens to everybody. And, I can think about when I was young, my dad died when he was 37 years old. I was, 8. that's not supposed to happen. And it really had a huge impact on my brother and I, who was 2 years younger than me. But I remember thinking through that, saying, I can't control that. There's nothing I can do about it. I've got to live with it now. And just, even at that young age, realize, wow, life's tough. And then you die. Like, think about that. And if you want to be miserable thinking that way, that's how you'll be. But you've got to realize that everybody deals with it. You are not alone, and there's people around you that love you and want to support you. But I guarantee to everybody that's listening to The Answer that something horrific will happen to you in your lifetime, and you will have to take the punch and get up and just drive on.
Rule number 4, perfect your resume.
I'm going to give you 5 tips, and I want everybody that's interested in figuring out how to get hired or wants to get hired to listen to these, because I'm going to treat it as if I'm hiring you, okay? I've done a lot of interviews in my time. These are the things that matter. So let's start with basically this. You got to perfect your resume. I don't need to know the job description of every place you've ever worked. I need to know what you accomplished that was something the average Joe wouldn't have done. I don't hire for competence. I hire people who routinely go above and beyond what's adequate. You got to communicate that. Don't leave blank spaces on your resume. That's number 2. Plenty of people have gaps in their work experience. Try and fill your time with things that matter to you. Just because you don't have a full-time job doesn't mean it isn't time to go and be idle. Get a volunteer gig, or show your compassion and energy. Take an online course. Show you want to better yourself. I don't like to see gaps in resume. Nobody who hires does. So be careful when you're filling it out. You're doing something all the time. When you do the interview, number 3, watch your body language. If you're shaking your knee nervously or anxiously picking your nails at a time when we're meeting, how can I trust you to confidently represent my company in a high-stakes meeting? I like some peace and quiet, but focus. On a similar vein, this is number 4, dress the part. It doesn't always mean a 3-piece suit and a hot watch. Look, if you're in financial services or something, a tie is a good idea, but if you're a coder, I don't care if you wear a t-shirt and jeans. It's what the other people are wearing. You don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, okay? Look, you don't need cufflinks. If you're a coder, I just want to know if you can code. And number 5, show me you know how to plan for yourself and for my company. How does the job I'm hiring for fit into your career and life plan? I don't want to hire somebody who's there for a one-off in-between job, or who leaves disappointed that the job I gave them didn't lead to a career trajectory they had hoped for. I don't want to hire someone who joins my company and thinks they're just going to be comfortable when business is good. I always want business to be great. I want to be growing. My staff only knows how to think ahead. Good business isn't good enough. We're constantly working and planning towards being better. If you can communicate that in a job interview, I'm going to hire you, and so is everybody else. Let's talk about writing books, because I'm working on my 4th now. I'm hating every minute of it, but I think it's going to be my best. But I always say that about every book. How do you do yours?
This book came when I was on tour last year, and I was hitting the city every 4 days and doing a speech in front of a group, and the questions that people asked me, I just kept like a note of what people kept asking me over and over again, and then it turned it into
and you got, thematically, you would get some very questions over and over again that people had, right? And you'd say that is a kernel. That's an important question, because they keep getting it all the time. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I was on tour and people kept asking me, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? It's like the number 1 question in every city across America. I said, well, that's pretty easy. You don't have to sit on top of a mountain for 10 years or hire a $20,000 business coach. You know, there's a 3-step process to find your purpose. And I just guided them through it. And then everyone's, hey, pick me, do it with me. It's like, okay, well, I'll turn it into a book. And that became Built to Serve.
Sounds good. I got to read that book now. That sounds pretty good. I got to find my purpose. I've really enjoyed our time today. It's
great.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
I'm going to endorse you. It's fantastic.
Rule number 5, honor your body.
What's more important to you, time, money, or health?
What I've realized, because I've got a lot of friends that are running into health issues, you got to live your life, honoring your body, because it's your vessel. And if you drink too much, you take drugs or anything like that. I'm getting into a thing now about diet and great foods and sleep, and that just gives you more energy. So I totally agree. Time and money, that's interesting, because you could argue that money buys you time to do things that you want to do. It doesn't get you more time, but it gets you in a place where you can spend your time in ways you want. But I don't want to be, I'm going to rank them slightly differently. I'm going to say health, 100%. Agree with you there. Then I'm going to go number 2 on money, because I'm going to say that money, if you pursue it, not for the greed of money, but the pursuit of freedom, lets you spend your time in the way you want to.
Rule number 6, don't fear failure.
I think the whole issue of failure, people are so scared of it, but it visits everybody. That's what I tell them. And I teach this stuff. I try and teach it. I say it's going to happen. I guarantee you. And it's going to be miserable when it happens. And even worse if it's your own money, which happens a lot. But at the end of the day, you should know with certainty that everybody around you that's successful has already tasted that sting. Yeah. There isn't a single entrepreneur I've met that's been successful that can't list a whole bunch of disasters they were involved in.
And is there anything more breathtakingly dull than somebody who was born into a fabulous trust and who never really failed at anything?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and say, if you're telling me all you've had in your life is success, I know you're lying to me. That's what I know, because it just doesn't work that way. Yeah. That's just the nature of entrepreneurship.
Rule number 7, invest in yourself first.
If you had $30,000 in the bank stored up from savings that you have as a student working, would you invest it all, or would you do the 10% rule and invest only 10% of it and only invest 10% for income at a time? Should I save it for my graduate school or invest it?
Sam, tough question. $30,000 for a student. He's not even in debt, but he's going to go into debt if he goes post-secondary college, right?
Man, that is a really tough question to answer. You take it first. I want to hear what you have to say first.
I'll tell you, it's very simple for me. I hate debt. Michelle, I hate debt. I can't stand debt. If you have $30,000, invest it in yourself in college, but don't go into debt. While you're in college, do what I did, get a job at night. I was slinging beer and I worked as a chef just so I never got into debt in college. I hate debt, but I would not invest it until you're finished your journey. And I look at it this way. You should make a decision. If you're going to take $30,000 that are in the bank right now, you better invest in a degree that makes sense in terms of monetizing it. And I've said this many times. I get criticized for it all the time. The top 3 for me: engineering number 1, engineering number 2, and engineering number 3. And if you want a 4th choice, go with engineering. Because if you have the aptitude to do that, the chances you won't be employed are practically 0, and you'll make lots of money. Everything else, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Rule number 8, understand retained value.
My mother taught me, she used to say when she was a working girl, I'm gonna work for 2 years to buy a Chanel jacket. Most people would buy 5 jackets, lower quality maybe, and just throw them out. She wouldn't do that. She bought really, really high-end Chanel. She loved Chanel. When she died, the women in my extended family went nuts for her wardrobe. I had to beat them off with a stick, fighting for each of these classic pieces because she kept them in pristine condition. An old Chanel jacket is worth a fortune today. And that was Georgette's understanding of value, of buying things that have retained value. And I say that to anybody. When you buy stuff that's consumable, that money's gone. It's ghost money. When you buy something like an FP Journe watch, even though I'll probably put it in my coffin when I die, but if I don't, it'll be worth to my son or my family a lot of money. Yeah. This thing is appreciating in value.
Rule number 9, shut out the noise.
If I worried about what people thought about me as I was going through my journey as an entrepreneur operator, I would have never done anything. You just can't let that get in your way. You got enough problems just running a business to worry about, I wonder what they think about me. You should be saying to yourself, who gives a shit? I'll get this thing done and people respect me for the way I did it. That's it. That's the end of the day. And not everybody will be your friend or like you as a result. It's tough, but that's just the way it is. It's interesting to let people that criticize you get to you. That's a horrible weakness. You have to get callous. You have to understand you can't please everybody and they'll be attacking you all the time. But I had a great mentor. He's dead now. He used to be a hockey coach. And Jerry Patterson was his name, and he said, you got to shut out the noise. You have to set the goal every day, focus on that, and everything else is irrelevant. Yeah. He was a great coach that way. He really was very good, and I've always remembered that. I always remember Jerry sitting on my shoulder saying, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
Ready? Perfect. Wait till the cast and crew taste this. Oh my goodness. What a perfect way to have breakfast. That is what I'm talking about. A beautiful piece of tenderloin, perfectly cooked. Damon, would you like to try some? Try that.
Kevin, you have to stop, man.
Try that.
What are you doing?
You try that. Try that. That's my sous vide 3-point tenderloin. How's that?
I thought you were an idiot at first. This is amazing.
It is amazing. It's perfect. I'm doing it for cast and crew. We're having steak and eggs this morning. Isn't that fantastic?
This is good.
You simply put it in the fridge overnight, let it thaw out like I have done, and then cut this beautiful piece of meat, which you're going to see in a minute. It is delicioso, magnificioso. It's just spectacular. Now look, I'm very proud of this. If you're looking for a roast for the holiday, Chef Wonderful is your man. A beautiful, let me repeat, 2.7 pounds, 16 servings, perfectly cooked. Ooh la la! Ichihuahua caramba! Let's go take it out and cut it up.
Now I've got a very special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you get motivated, inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through. But when you get motivated, inspired, and you create a plan of action, you have a over 90% chance of following through. And when you share it with other people, it jumps to 95% chance. Your likelihood of following through. And so I want that to be you from this video. We don't just watch videos here, Believe Nation. We do something. We take action. So I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Leave it down in the comments below because I want to celebrate you.
I was going out of my mind sitting here. The first month I was going crazy, and I've got so many investments that are suffering and struggling, and I thought, what can I do to help them? You know? I worked in getting PPP loans. I actually helicoptered money into some places where I needed to invest to keep them alive and keep them open because it was important for them to do that. I'm going to give you a couple examples. You know that career you had 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I was a construction worker for a while. I put rebar into cinder blocks. I was a bricklayer for a while. These were summer jobs I had trying to put myself through school and college. I got a job once as a gaffer for a company that did sports television. They were filming volleyball games and college football games and stuff like that. And I was slinging beer at nights to put myself through college. And then I took the job as a gaffer. Gaffer's kind of person who runs around, sets up the lights, tapes down the cables and all that stuff. But from that business, I eventually got trained how to be a cameraman, then a sound man, then a film editor. I never lost those skills. I still have them. And many of you are in the same situation. You have things you did a long time ago. They don't leave you. It's like riding a bicycle. You remember them forever. So I said, okay, well, maybe I can help my companies as a social media guy. I mean, a lot of people know who I am, so maybe I can record my own commercials right here in this kitchen and help some of my companies because I know how to edit, I know how to record, I know how to do stuff from those days 20, 30 years ago when I was doing that, and I never lost my editing skills. So I just got my chops. Instead of editing on an 8-plate Steenbeck, which was film, like literally film, I learned how to use Premiere Pro, an Adobe product. It's the same basic idea. It's digital, right? Go back to your roots and find something that you can do that you learned a long time ago. Maybe your career's stalled. Maybe you're not going to get hired. Maybe you want to work. Would I work as a bricklayer? Yeah, I know how to do that. But I can make these commercials. So every day I get up in the morning, I say to my companies, what can I do for you? And I'll give you an example. You know, and I know this is, you know, maybe you're gonna say it's crass promotion for one of my companies. Yeah, but so what? It's a great example. Love Pop greeting cards. Fantastic company. They had lots of retail stores because when you purchase, when you actually purchase a greeting card, it's often in a store. So we had little stores all over the malls in America. They're all shut down. But the company didn't say, oh, woe is me. They said, well, what can we do to direct to our customers, which is the right thing to do. You think about it that way. And they came up with an idea for Mother's Day, which is, you know, happening this weekend. Instead of making a greeting card, they made this. Flowers. Cheaper than ordering real flowers. These are beautiful. They're pieces of art. And they said to me, hey, Kevin, can you record a commercial? So I shot this commercial I'm going to show you right now, right here in the kitchen. I did it because I know how to do it, and they used it on social media to help, and they've sold millions of dollars worth of these now. This is a fantastic idea, and I like to think I helped. Also, Benji Lock. I don't know if you remember this deal. These locks that, you know, obviously are one of our biggest ways of selling it was in retail, and we're not doing that anymore. So what could we do on social media? What could we do? So I called my friends at QVC and I said, hey guys, could we try and sell these Benji locks? I think everybody in America would like to have one of these to, you know, maybe your bicycle helmet, hook it up to your bike, close your purse, your duffel bag, whatever it is. But it's a great product, and would you let me try and sell it direct? And then I also said, why don't I do something with what I know socially? So now that we're all quarantined, I'm working with all my companies trying to get stuff out as we have to switch from retail distribution. Now we've got to go back and do online. We have to work with, you know, Amazon, we got to work with QVC, we got to sell direct. So I'm shooting some video now for one of my companies you may have heard of called Benji Lock. This is a really interesting technology. This is the first fingerprint lock that also has a key. Let me show you the travel version of it as well. So look at this. I mean, I'm going to be filming this for QVC. I'm going to go live on QVC with this thing, and I want to show people how you can basically use a lock like this with your finger and open it up. It's amazing technology. See how that works? But I got to produce some social media before we go nuts. And so what I've done is I've tried to set up a shot here. I'm using an industrial lens to actually get rather interesting image of this lens going right through the locks. So I've set up a program that says, okay, come out for the shot, then go zooming back in, and we're gonna get some really interesting images of these locks that we can use in the social media for the whole QVC thing. It's a great shot, you can see it right there. Yeah, and we're doing it in the kitchen. That's my whole point. And every year the technology gets cheaper. As long as you stay current with it, you understand how to use it, that's the whole key. Why not use your skills from, you know, the past to create new employment? Now, if I can help my company sitting here, you know, stuck in my little studio, Miami prison for the next, I've been here 2 months already, but every day I shoot more stuff and I try and do as much as I can to help them out. So for Benji Lock, it's get this social media shot, cut it, post it, push eyeballs to QVC, sell locks. That's the plan. And the same for all my companies. I'll do that for anybody. But the whole point is use your skill sets from the past to help your businesses today, or get a job today, or do whatever it is you have to do. Because I don't care, every year of your life you're learning something, and you don't forget it, you can bring it back. Now, you know, I remember the gaffer days when I'd wrap tape around light poles, and then the editing days, and then the sound days, and the camera days. Well, here I am doing it all over again. That's my whole point. And you can do the same thing.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Kevin O'Leary, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Nobody's happy 100% of the time. That's not how life works, my friends. It just doesn't work that way. But you know, you got to get up in the morning and ask yourself, what can I do today